Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to radically reframe how we actually view mental health. For decades, we've treated conditions like depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder as if they're just isolated completely in the head. But today, we're flipping that script. We're going to look at mental health through a totally different lens, understanding these conditions not just as simple brain imbalances, but as whole body, metabolic, and cellular systems working together.
So let's dive right in and ask a pretty fundamental question. What if mental health isn't just in your head? I know it sounds a bit provocative, but when we actually trace the origins of conditions like ADHD, bipolar disorder, and severe anxiety, the latest research points us straight to the body's metabolism, our immune system, and our gut. And honestly, even more importantly, it points to how our daily routines might literally hold the key to managing and healing these super complex conditions.
Over the next few minutes, we're going to unpack this step by step. We'll cover 1. The body-brain connection. 2. Mitochondria, microbes, and nerves. 3. Diet, metabolism, and mood. 4. Movement for brain plasticity. 5. Mindfulness, prayer, and rest. And finally, 6. Building your daily routine.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the body-brain connection, a systemic issue.
We really need to start with this staggering statistic. Patients dealing with serious mental illnesses actually face a 15 to 20-year reduction in life expectancy. That's not just a tragic number. It tells a really profound biological story. This drop in life expectancy is largely driven by massive metabolic disturbances, things like insulin resistance, obesity, and cardiovascular disease. The research is showing us this incredibly clear bidirectional relationship. Basically, metabolic dysregulation predisposes you to psychiatric conditions. And those psychiatric conditions, often compounded by the metabolic side effects of certain medications, just totally exacerbate poor physical health. They are deeply, deeply intertwined. To really grasp why this happens, we have to talk about a field called psychoneuroimmunology. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but it's basically the science of how your environment talks to your immune system through your brain. Historically, our immune systems flared up to fight off actual physical wounds or infections, right? But in today's world, modern social threats, even purely symbolic or imagined ones like a stressful email from your boss or feeling socially isolated, actually trigger our immune and nervous systems in the exact same way. This creates a chronic, pro-inflammatory state in the body, which scientists now hypothesize is a massive driver of depression and anxiety.
Moving on to Section 2. Mitochondria, microbes, and nerves, the biological hardware.
It really helps to think of your brain exactly like a computer. If the battery, which in our cells would be the mitochondria, or the wiring, which is your intricate nervous system and gut microbiome, is compromised, then the software is going to glitch. And by software, I mean your mood, your attention, and your cognitive function. When mitochondrial function is impaired, those brain circuits simply cannot fire and adapt normally.
There's this incredibly intricate physical web that links your hypothalamus, your amygdala, and your respiratory system. It's fascinating because it shows exactly how stress physically orchestrates your fight or flight response. You've got these neuromodulators, things like orexin, serotonin, and norepinephrine, acting as messengers in this web. When a system like this gets hyperactive, it can lead directly to a panic anxiety syndrome. And you don't just feel it in your emotions, it literally manifests in your actual respiratory patterns. Everything is connected.
Which brings us to Section 3, Diet, Metabolism, and Mood, the Metabolic Psychiatry Revolution.
Get ready, because the sheer magnitude of these clinical trial results is absolutely staggering. We're talking about metabolic psychiatry here, specifically using the ketogenic diet as a targeted intervention for severe mental illness. By just shifting the brain's primary fuel source from glucose over to ketones, patients are seeing massive, life-changing improvements. In one pilot trial, literally 100% of the fully adherent bipolar participants reached a recovered or recovering state. There was also a 32% reduction in psychotic symptoms for schizophrenia participants. Biologically speaking, ketones provide this ultra-stable energy source. They enhance mitochondrial function, increase the calming neurotransmitter GABA, and drastically reduce brain inflammation. It's a total game changer.
When you actually track ketone levels right alongside daily mood assessments, a very clear, non-linear step-up in energy emerges. It's wild to see how impulsivity and anxiety drop significantly just as ketone levels rise. This is proof that metabolic health directly dictates mental stability. Basically, when you fix the brain's energy metabolism, the software of the mind finally gets to run smoothly again.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, Movement for Brain Plasticity and Wiring the Nervous System.
Okay, let's talk neuroplasticity. The foundational concept here is just incredibly empowering. Your cognitive potential and your mental health are absolutely not fixed at birth. Your brain is this dynamic, highly moldable system that's continuously being shaped by your physical experiences. And one of the absolute most powerful ways to trigger this neuroplasticity is through physical movement.
Different types of movement act as completely different biological tools for your nervous system. Want to build new neurons? Aerobic work like running boosts BDNF, which is basically Miracle-Gro for your brain. In a very real sense, you can literally sweat out a bad mood by forcing your biology to generate these protective factors. Then you have resistance training, which does wonders for regulating key hormones. But don't sleep on mind-body practices like Tai Chi and yoga. Research proves these practices directly enhance prefrontal cortex connectivity and increase vagal parasympathetic tone. That means they're actively calming your autonomic nervous system, pulling you right out of that damaging fight or flight state.
And that leads perfectly into Section 5, Mindfulness, Prayer, and Rest, the parasympathetic shift.
Because pushing your body is only half the battle. Daily practices like deep, yogic breathing, mindfulness meditation, and prayer aren't just psychological comforts or feel-good hobbies. They are hard science. They are scientifically proven, doctor-approved methods to increase parasympathetic activity and physically stimulate your vagus nerve. That vagus nerve is like an information superhighway connecting your brain, your gut, and your heart. When you intentionally engage in these focused moments of stillness, you're firing up that nerve, which directly reduces systemic inflammation and lifts low moods.
At a purely metabolic level, deep rest sends a massive, powerful safety signal to your entire biology. By consciously signaling safety to your body, you are allowing your cells to finally stop fighting those imagined threats we talked about earlier. Instead, they can divert all those energetic resources toward optimizing and repairing your neurobiology. You are quite literally shifting your cells from defense mode into repair mode. Let's bring it all together in Section 6, Building Your Daily Routine, the Biohacker's Toolbox.
By structuring your day chronologically to actually support your circadian rhythms, you are actively aligning your hormonal cycles, like your morning cortisol and your evening melatonin. Think about it. A morning routine with hydration and sunlight primes your brain for the day. Afternoon movement boosts that crucial BDNF we mentioned. And then leaning into evening stillness through prayer, meditation, or journaling intentionally shifts your nervous system back into that parasympathetic recovery state. This kind of holistic daily structure is incredibly potent for managing conditions like ADHD and bipolar disorder because it promotes hyper-efficient brain metabolism and mood regulation.
And let's be real, these simple steps for overnight repair are arguably the most potent epigenetic interventions you have in your arsenal. Limiting blue light and maintaining a strictly consistent sleep schedule ensures your internal clocks stay perfectly synchronized. Sleep is when your brain literally clears out its metabolic waste. By fiercely protecting your sleep routine, you're making sure your brain's hardware is fully restored, upgraded, and biologically ready for whatever comes the next day.
Ultimately, whether you're utilizing a well-formulated ketogenic diet to fuel your mitochondria, engaging in daily prayer to stimulate your vagus nerve, or practicing Tai Chi to boost neuroplasticity, these are all adjunctive therapies targeting the core bioenergetics of your brain. As the latest science makes abundantly clear, energy metabolism is no longer just a side note in mental health. It is absolutely central.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to really chew on as you step away from this explainer and back into your daily routine. Every single bite of food you eat, every movement you make, and every quiet moment of stillness is an actual biological instruction being sent right to your nervous system. If your daily habits are constantly rewiring your brain's hardware, what kind of mind will you build tomorrow? Thank you so much for learning with me today.